Black Desert Online new class being announced. It's time to renew my highest view video, the Black Desert Online guide videos. There were a lot of comments telling me I said something wrong, and I'm here to fix that. I'll try to be more accurate this time, so let's get started. Warrior is the saber of BDO, using a long sword and a shield. When he awakens, using a greatsword. Warrior has received some good updates to where he is good at PvE and remains very good at dueling. While in group PvP, he is okay. There are still better classes than him at group PvP. When it comes to difficulty of mastery for both Awakening and Succession, it takes a lot of time. When it comes to PvP for PvE, it is easier to clear with Warrior Succession. In my opinion, Warrior is slow, but he does become faster when he uses his Succession. Next we have Ranger, or Chloe but without the dark skin.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
Ranger uses a longbow and twin daggers for her pre-awakening weapons, and a Camisilian sword for her awakening. And thanks to Succession, Rangers are now one of the best classes to PvE grind with in the game, even with the nerfs. When it comes to PvP dueling, her awakening is good, but very difficult to master because she has a lot of special abilities and skills. But if you turn over to her Succession, she has to be one of the worst PvP duelists in the game. When it goes to the other side in war combat, Succession is a little better than her awakening. Now we have
Shiro, the faker of archers, the wrought iron hero, the protector of balance, but most importantly, a hero of justice.
Archer being one of the only classes next to Shy without a Succession. Archer has a crossbow and a ray gun, also a great bow for his arsenal. Archer, unlike every other class in the game, doesn't have a traditional awakening, but rather has a ascension. This gives him the same tier as the other awakenings in the game. Archer focuses heavily on doing range damage and having a high protection and being very mobile. One criticism of Archer is that his heavy hitting attacks leaves him very open, and I would know he is one of the main classes I play in the game. When it comes to PvE, he is all around good in every sense. Dueling, he is also good going against slow classes, but has trouble with high mobility classes. When it comes to war combat, he's also very good. He is a pick up and play type class, not being very difficult to pick up, but being very hard to master. Valkyrie, or Big Titty Saber you can say, is a female version of Warrior, but honestly, that's further than the truth. Her PvP clearing is very average and really does well in high-end areas. In dueling, she isn't any better. If she is played really well, she can do some damage, but she gets overshadowed by a lot of other classes. While in group fights and in war combat, she is a great asset with her awakening, doing a lot of damage, and with her versatile of different skills that can help her group. She's a very slow class and takes a lot of time to master, but if you can, she will do very well. Succession is a different story, being garnered to PvE and being fast paced, but a lot of people aren't looking for that. Musa, or this, uses a blade and a horn bow for his pre-awakening, and a crescent blade for his awakening. Musa is a top tier class for all areas of PvE, with both Succession and Awakening. Also, his mobility is nothing to joke about, being able to move pack to pack very fast. In duels, he also does very well, but it does take some mastery. His Succession isn't as good for PvP, even though it takes more mastery. In war combat, Musa does very well, and with his mobility, he can move around the battlefield flanking people very easily. Musa is a Hercules of all the classes, and we'll get to him. Musa overall is a top tier class, having high mobility and good damage. Maehwa, or is the female counterpart of Musa, using the same pre-awakening, but uses a cure spear for her awakening weapon. One trait both of them share is having great mobility, but that's the end of anything they share of. Maehwa doesn't have high protection like Musa, and her PvE isn't as good either, but her succession is a little better in PvE than her awakening. In dueling, both awakening and succession are about neck and neck. That also goes for war combat, doing about the same. Maehwa isn't a very difficult class to master. It takes a lot of effort to become decent with Maehwa. Tamer has a pet to fight with, and a short sword, and a trinket for her pre-awakening weapons, and gets a celestial bow staff for her awakening weapon. Tamer is a great class for dueling, having crowd control and having one of the best grabs in the game. This makes her deadly in dueling, but you still need to watch out because her defense is very low. For awakening and succession, Tamer's awakening does high damage, while her succession is on the weaker side, but that's just in PvP. On the flip side, in PvE, Tamer's succession is very good compared to her awakening. Overall, Tamer is a glass cannon with some obvious downsides. It really depends on the level of the player, since Tamer can be easy, but also hard for some. Lanh is another saber class, using a celestial pendulum and a noble sword as her succession weapons. And for her awakening, she uses glaives. One special ability of the Lanh class is the ability to glide like an airbender. Lanh has high protection with both awakening and succession. Her awakening makes her very good at PvE grinding, effectively not having to use HP potions, but her succession not so much. When using Lanh succession, you can have a lot of AoE damage and defensive abilities. In dueling, Lanh has a big edge, having a nice grab. Her succession loses that grab, but makes up for it, getting a lot more damage. In war combat, Lanh is a get in and get out class, doing a lot of damage quickly and getting out fast. Lanh overall is not a very popular class, and she is very hard to master. That's it for the video, guys. Thank you guys for watching to the end of the video. If I did anything wrong this time, comment down below. Also, like last time, I'm breaking this up into 2 parts, this being the first one, so come back next week for the second part of the video. Thank you guys for watching to the end. Like I said, if I did anything wrong, comment down below. If you liked the video and think it helped you, then drop a like and comment, subscribe, do all that stuff, and deuces.